Hi everyone, I'm Nettie Kay. Welcome back to my studio. Hey, today we're going to be doing a beginning landscape painting. Well, what does that mean? A landscape is just a scene that we see outside. You know, we're going to have a sky, we're going to have some mountains in it, some trees, and a little pathway. That's what a landscape is. We do all kinds of different kinds of paintings. We do landscapes, we do still life, which just means things that we bring in and assemble on a table and that we paint from in our studio. And then we can do things like pets or animals and flowers. That's another category. But today we're going to be doing a landscape. So get your paints out and paint along if you like. And so we're going to begin with the sky. Let's get started. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of my dark blue, like this. I'm putting it on my plate, and then I'm going to add a little bit of white to it, all right? So I'm just dipping into my white, and I'm putting it here. Now, don't mix it up in your little cups, all right? Because if you mix it up in your cups, what's going to happen? Well, then you're just going to have a whole bunch of, one color. You mix it on your plate, and that way you don't mess up your other paints in your cups. Okay, so that's what your plate's for. And we're going to start pretty dark on the top corner. So I'm going to go top corner, and we're going to go across with our little sponge brush, all right? I'm going to use the sponge brush. You could use one, you could use your ratty paintbrush too. That's really fast, but you could use that. It just depends on what you want to do. And I'm not just filling it in, everybody. I'm making little crisscross, kind of like how we started our little baby chick painting, all right? This one has got some, just some little crisscross, and it's pretty dark, okay? It's pretty dark. And here's what I want to say, is the top of your canvas, or the top where the sky is darker than when it comes down close to the horizon, okay? So it's dark at the top, and then it gets lighter as it comes down the canvas, all right? So I've got it nice and dark, and remember, it dries even darker than it is at this stage, okay? So it's acrylic paint, it's not oil paint. It will dry even darker than that, okay? Now I'm going to get some more of the white onto my brush, and I'm going to now kind of add that to it as I come down this little canvas, and I'm going to crisscross it and kind of blend it in a little bit and make it nice and light at the bottom just by adding white to it. I'm not really making any clouds, but they kind of look a little bit like clouds. So here's just our white, maybe just some straight white like that as it comes down, and it gets nice and light as it comes down to the horizon, or where the sun sets or rises, depending on where you are in the world, okay? Things that are farther away, we're going to talk about that next. We're going to say things that are farther away from you, like the mountains and the trees, if they're way off in the distance, are going to be more blue, okay? So we don't paint the mountains bright green back there because they're far, far away, and we're looking through a lot of air. And so we're going to have them more blue or purple the farther away they get. All right, now I'm going to show you how to do that in just a sec. All right, got to finish up this. Now, you see, I don't worry about making that nice and straight because I'm going to be putting some mountains over the top of that. All right, but first off, I want to go ahead and I'm going to take just a tiny touch of my red and add that to my little sky color right there, okay? That darker sky color right there. And you know what? When I add that white to it, it turns what? Kind of purple. Maybe just a little bit more. That red can get away with you, so be careful not to put too much red in it, or it really will be, kind of crazy. Anyway, so now in the middle on this one, we're going to make just a tiny, with our little square end brush, I'm going to make a tiny little mountain, all right, with maybe a couple of little bumps on it right there in that purple color. just a little bit, and it's kind of fogged out, and it feels a little bit dark. You don't want to have it too dark, so I'm going to add some white to it. Yeah, I want to add a little bit of white to it. I don't want it too dark because it's far, far away. So we're going to make it kind of lavender, okay? A little lavender, a little mountain right there in the middle. And it's about, let's see, it's about 3 inches from the top, just a tiny amount from the top, okay? And it ends up right there, so don't get too carried away with that. We're just going to do that, like that. Okay, so a little bit of a little purple mountains majesty, like that. And then I'm going to add some more blue, all right? As we come forward, it's going to get darker as we come forward, all right? It's softer and more fuzzy and it's not as dark way back in the distance as it is as we come forward. So now I'm going to add some blue to that mix. And let's see, yeah, that's about right, I think. It's a little bit, maybe a little too dark. I'm going to make it just a little bit lighter, but not as light as that. In fact, that one might be still too light. I might have to lighten that up. Now I'm going to come 1.5 inches from right here, and I'm going to start carving out a little mountain. It's just a little jagged mountain. I don't turn that brush at all. I'm just sliding that blue right over the top of that. Right over the top of that. Isn't that interesting? I slide the blue right over the corner of that mountain. I'm just going to cut that off. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to put another little one coming down like this. So see how it's darker than the purple? And then it comes down like that. There we go. And then I'll fill that in. Now I might add just a little bit of that purple to the bottom of that mountain, just for a little mist. A little mist. I'll just make it interesting by adding a little bit of purple to the bottom like that. And then I bring it down like this, kind of like that. Okay, so that gives you a little mountain on that side. And then I'm going to come back in, get some more of that blue color, and I'm going to do the same on this side. Only this time I'm going to bring it out, maybe make it a little bit different, you know, just bring it out a little ways, maybe a couple inches like that, and then bring it down, and then make your mountain kind of calm down a little bit like this, and cross over right there, and maybe cross that over that other mountain. I'm seeing I don't want a hole there, so I got to fill that hole in with a little bit of something. There, okay. Now I got to make a little bit more of that blue color. Got to make sure I have enough, don't I? A little bit like that, tiny bit, maybe a tiny bit of red this time. All right. So it's a little bit darker. Now I've added some blue with a little bit of that red without any white, and I'll just come down and begin to make a kind of a second little mountain in there, or a little darker color coming in. Isn't that pretty? So a little bit of blue with red. It looks like I had a little white on my brush. That's okay. It just makes it interesting, and it comes down like that. Ooh, that's beautiful. I'm just going jagged like this. I'm not just filling it in. I'm making kind of some shapes like this. Okay, like that. Make a little more. So some red, some blue, and it gets darker as it comes forward at you like that. Okay, just like that. That's interesting, isn't it? Then I just kind of put it like this. Now sometimes I'll take a little paper towel and kind of fuzz it out at the bottom so I don't have a big line at the bottom. There we go. And that looks kind of like 2 mountains on the side and 1 in the back. Isn't that great? Yes. All right, now this is when you get your, you take your brush and you rinse it out. Okay, so rinse out your brush in your little bucket. I have a little yogurt bucket. Now, right now, especially because we're trying to make sure we don't waste anything, do we? So I kept my little yogurt bucket, and I rinse out my brush in that. If you have canned vegetables or something, you save the can, you know. I just take off the paper off the can. I fill it up with water, and then I use it for my brush cleaning. And on this one, I just squeeze out the paint, and sometimes I need more than one bucket so that one is kind of for a little bit dirtier brushes, and then one will be for clean. And so now I'm going to take my paper towel. The sponge brushes, you guys, are going to wear out. So in our next painting packets, when you guys need more paint here in my local village, we'll be putting in a few of these brushes. I ordered a whole bunch, and so you'll have those up in the mountains here where I live, okay? So don't worry about that. Okay, so now I'm going to take a nice clean brush, and we're going to do something just a little bit different. I'm going to take my gold paint. This is that kind of raw sienna yellow color. If you only have yellow with a little brown, you can take some regular yellow and add just a tiny touch of brown to it. Okay, that'll work. That'll make it into a nice dull gold color. It's kind of like wheat. It's a wheat color. So I'm putting that on my plate here just a little to show you what that looks like. And then I want to I want to take a little bit of white onto my brush as well. Remember, don't stir it into your paint, just stir it on your plate. And now I'm going to come in here and make a little bit of a gold grass that kind of comes across. This is just our gold field that comes across and gives us a nice warm base on our canvas. There we go. And you know, yellow is very transparent, and this is kind of a yellow color, so you can see stuff through it, and so that's why we add white to it. Well, that's one of the reasons why we add white to it. So I'm going to add some more white to it and make it a little more creamy so that we can kind of come up here like this and make it nice and smooth, right, like that. All right. And so we can cover up some of those pieces of purple that kind of pop down in there. I'm going to go ahead and just cover that up so we have a nice thing to work from when we put our greenery and our plants and various different things onto this particular canvas, all right? And it doesn't matter if it's messy or not, in fact, because, you know, the grass isn't just a solid color, is it? It's kind of got all kinds of different little ins and outs in the middle of that. Isn't that a pretty start? I think that's really kind of nice. All right, so let's get going a little bit more on this. Okay, now I'm going to kind of create a green type color by taking my my dark blue, like that. I'm putting a little dark blue on here, and then I want to add a little bit of bright yellow to it and see what happens. Okay, a little bright yellow, and that makes a nice dark green, maybe a little more yellow, yeah. So you see how blue and yellow make green. So now I'm going to take that dark green and I'm going to come over here, and I hope you can see it. I'm going to extend that out, and I'm going to make a nice little green little hill that kind of comes a little bit farther right there. And we'll come up like that. We'll make it just a little bit more like that. So it's got some yellow on it, like this. It comes out in a little mountain right there. And then I'll come over onto the other side and do the same kind of thing. So we're just kind of crisscrossing each little piece of land as it comes forward. I'm flipping my little brush over, and I see it's darker on the other side, and that's okay. So I want to put a little bit of that. Ooh, isn't that pretty? That's really pretty. I'm keeping it nice and marbled. So I'm not just mixing it all up and making a big solid mass of paint. I like to keep it kind of like I can still see some yellow and some green in there as I go like this, and I'm making that kind of come down a little bit like this, there, like that. Just like that. Cross it over. Then I'm going to come into some straight yellow, add the yellow to it, and that's nice and bright. And then I'm going to put some yellow right like that. Ooh, isn't that pretty? So like the sun's kind of shining through, and we're making some yellow on that side of the hill. More yellow, and I'll put that a little bit on that side. Ooh, look at that. It's so beautiful. Now we're going to add some bushes and trees on here too. So that's why I'm not worried about it being messy down at the bottom, all right? All right, well that's a good place for us to stop. And next time we meet, we're going to finish up with some trees and some various different parts on our painting. So get to this point, everybody, and then I will meet you again next time when we finish our landscape painting. All right, do some good work. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye for now.